This is my review on the G4 drift chassis from eBay, $200 chassis. I have this car for about 6-7 months now, and I gotta say that when I ordered this chassis, I was really skeptical. Like everything you buy from China, you never know what you're gonna get in the mail. But I was really surprised when I got this chassis. Any start like that. Comes all put together. But like every Chinese chassis that you buy, no matter what company you order from, you gotta take it apart and put it back together properly. Loctite, grease, everything. Because if you buy anything from China and just put a battery and go, it's gonna fall to pieces. So, things I like about the car. I have 4 different chassis. I have a MST, I have Yokomo DBI, I have a Yokomo YD2S, I have an Overdose GOM. All great chassis, but this is my favorite car. I'll tell you why it's my favorite car. None of the other cars I have drive like this car. This is the most realistic chassis that you can buy to simulate real drifting. Once you get it out the box, it's not the best quality, but you have enough. So if you have some knowledge, you can make the chassis work. I'm gonna get into that next. Take this out. I'm running a D-like body, really tough bodies. This is pretty much my basher car, so I like these bodies because they can take a beating. So some of the things I want to say about this chassis, if you plan on getting it, like I said before, every Chinese chassis that you get, you have to take it apart and put it back together properly. Loctite, grease, fluids, whatever it uses, you gotta do it on your own. The quality of the chassis is pretty good for the money. There's some things you could change. Like, first off, the gears. It comes with plastic ring and pinion gears, and that's a no-no. My intention with this chassis since I bought it was to run in 2-wheel drive, and that was the main reason I got it. And I couldn't resist the similarities to a D-like chassis, which I'm gonna get into that later. Some of the modifications I got to the car, they have Yokomo ball diffs set up. I have the D-like ring and pinion metals, the ball diffs cups, D-like, the D-like drive shafts, and the shocks front and rear, they're D-like. And hinge pins, the pins on this car that comes with it, they're so weak that you hit a bump and they bend. Another thing I gotta say about the chassis, since this is a Chinese copy, their quality control is not as good of those chassis that you pay a lot of money for. So some things like the shock holes, they don't line up. So if you count 3 holes to put the shocks in here, you gotta measure because they're not accurate. The holes not lined up accurate. Another thing I did to this car was the active camber in the back. I've seen a lot of guys over Japan using this, and it makes it easier. It makes it easier to go on a long angle with this chassis. I got a lot of weights on it because this is emulating the real thing. So you need all the weight to shift from tire to tire. I run it, my ride height, I run at 12 mil in the front and 8 mil in the back. For some reason, it drives better with a real lower back. Another thing, I'm running 1 degree of top in the front. Another thing that I did, some of the stuff I did, I added 3mm washers on the bulk right here. I also added 2 mil washers right behind the camber block. The toe block, sorry, the toe block. The 2 mil washers to raise the arms. So the arms are like in an angle, like this. It makes the car drive better. Another thing I did was the shocks. Shocks come in the back. I move them to the front. I use a 20mm. This is from one of my crawlers. I use this out of my crawlers. It's tubing for the frames. I use 20mm to push the shock further enough so it'll rub against the axles, the duck bones. Is it worth it? For $200, you can beat this car. It's the most fun car to drive. The realistic, because none of the other chassis drive the way this car does. The weight shifting on this chassis is ridiculous. And when you have it set up so the weight is real good distributed in the chassis, when you're trying to go in a transition and you see the whole body just shake and go on an angle and shift from one tire to the other, that's pretty freaking cool. This is not a car for you to be careful. This car is to send it, you know? This is kiss the wall and drive really fast. Will I recommend people to buy it? Of course. $200 and it's worth it. You have enough for $200 to build an amazing chassis. Now about the comparison with the real D-like. We did a comparison, measure hole by hole from the real chassis, and everything lines up. The carbon chassis, everything is exactly as the D-like. The extension of the arms, the way the arms are, the width, the length, the thickness, everything is the same. The lengths, the same. The only difference mainly is the drivetrain, the way it's set up. But as if you can see, it's pretty much the same way. It works the same way. So it's worth every penny. And if you like drifting, this chassis is freaking amazing.